Hi, Ria. Thanks for joining us. Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. You too.
I'm Anna Bokoven. I'm the Manager of Sponsorships and Fund Development at St. John Ambulance BC in Yukon. So when did you first join us and why did you decide to come on board as a volunteer?
I initially joined actually in 2010, just as a regular volunteer going out to events, and that was in Chilliwack. And I did that because I was interested in a career in nursing, but I wasn't totally sure if that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to get a little bit of a hands-on experience with patients, with people just at events and see how I liked it, see if it's something I connected with. And I did end up liking it a lot. I really enjoyed the volunteer aspect of it too, and just getting to meet all sorts of different people. And yeah, I'm still volunteering now. So 11 years later.
Yeah, so obviously you've been with us for a while and I know you're involved in sort of more than one aspect. Could you tell me a little bit more about each of your roles, what they entail, and how you feel they benefit both yourself and the community?
Yeah, the biggest one I'd say right now is the critical incident stress management team. That's been going for a while. I've been the lead for about 2 years now, I guess. I was sharing the role with Leon Chu for a while as well. And basically, our team is there as a psychological support for all of our division members throughout BC Yukon. So, and our goal is just basically to be there. It's generally over the phone. We also do in person if you're able to get to people. But whenever there's a critical incident that happens at an event, so like say maybe there's a cardiac arrest or anything difficult, stressful, anything anyone's having some challenging reactions to, then our goal is to be able to connect with them, talk to them, and basically help them through any of their reactions, help normalize what's going on, help them understand what's going on. And then also to provide education about what's normal in reactions to any critical incident. And yeah, so education is another big part of what we do as well. I also volunteer with the Brigade Medical Advisory Committee. So that is a committee with various healthcare providers that are also St. John Ambulance volunteers on the board. And I was chosen to be on there partially because of my role with St. John Ambulance and also because I'm a nurse. I am a registered nurse. So I just basically give my thoughts as a nurse to any of the things we discuss. So basically we provide direction for policies and treatment guidelines for divisions and for members throughout BC. And then also we provide just direction on scope of practice. And one of our goals is to slowly help increase scope of practice as we get back into volunteering and stuff again. And just we also are helping provide direction in during COVID as well. So there were some changes around, when like CPR only right now, not using BBMs because of the risk of aerosolization, that sort of thing. So our role is just to help also protect all of our members throughout BC and just provide them with any direction during their volunteer role. The other thing I do is as I'm also just a volunteer at divisional events. So I still attend Abbotsford events. Of course, right now we're not doing anything. We haven't been for a while, but and I'll keep doing those events once that starts up again.
Wow, so we're definitely keeping you busy then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so over your 11 some years as a volunteer, are there any particular moments that you're especially proud of?
I would say I think that's the biggest one is from the Abbotsford Air Show. Actually, a couple of years ago now, there was at the crash, an airplane went down, and our team. I was just so proud of our team because we mobilized so quickly, got out there so quickly, and did some life-saving interventions for the affected patients there. And if our team hadn't been there, I'm not sure what would have happened, but I think the fact that we were there and just so ready to get out there and help made a huge difference and potentially saved some lives that day. So I was just super proud of our team for working together and just doing such an amazing job.
Definitely something to be proud of, for sure. So I know you mentioned that outside of volunteering, you work as a critical care nurse and that you're a registered nurse. So curious what led you to this career and what has kept you motivated during your work life, especially now during COVID?
Yeah. So I was thinking about that too. I'm like, what is keeping me going? But I guess I'd always just one of the reasons I became a nurse is I like the profession in the sense that you can go a lot of different directions with it. And I wanted to do something where I could be challenged. And, if I was feeling maybe a little bit bored or wanted to try something different, then I could go a different direction. So I'd always kind of expected that I would probably try something like emergency eventually. So I started off as a surgical nurse in Chilliwack for a couple of years. And then I started working in Abbotsford Emergency last year. And just naturally progressed into taking the critical care course. And I was just interested in it because emergencies are like a very interesting environment. There you see a lot of different stuff. It's quite a stressful environment too, but it's challenging. It really keeps you going, keeps you stimulated, I guess, and interested. And yeah, of course, it's been quite challenging. Like it's been challenging. There's been a lot of changes with how we normally do things, and that keeps adapting like almost week by week. So that's been challenging. And I guess I would say probably the biggest thing that's kept me going is, one thing is just having the team there. In a way, it's an opportunity for me to get out of the house and actually see people. And luckily, I find it beneficial that I get to go to a job where I get to see my coworkers, I get to see other people and work with them. Sure, I'm still wearing a mask, I'm wearing the gown and everything, but I like that aspect that I still get to see people face to face. And so that's been really nice. And then also, I think just having a team mindset has really helped keep me going because, there's days where it gets crazy stressful. You're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Why am I doing this? You're questioning yourself. But then at the end of the day, you also come to realize that, I'm still I know I'm a small part. I'm still a very important part because, if each of us keeps coming to our job day to day, that's what keeps things going. If I don't show up, then that other nurse that I would be working with would basically have the job of two nurses essentially, because emergency is always short staffed. There's no guarantee that you'll be able to get another person to replace me. So just knowing that by coming, I'm helping to keep things going, make sure that patients get their treatment in time, because we know that short staffing does negatively impact patient outcomes. So just knowing that, showing up, I'm helping support my team and making sure patients get the care they need, I think is just one thing that really helps keep me going.
Absolutely. So given that we are talking today in honor of International Women's Day, I wanted to ask, their theme this year is Choose to Challenge. So what does that mean to you in both your roles as a volunteer and as a nurse?
I actually really like that theme. That's a big part of I guess what I always try to do is always try to challenge myself, try to push myself. And I can see that it's a huge part of for the female workforce too, to choose to challenge yourself every day. And not just females too, like those identify as male, female. I think it's so important to always challenge yourself to look at the way you treat others, the roles you have in mind for people based on what gender you see them as, because it really colors the way you treat people. And I think it's so easy we're used to our biases, of course. We don't always even notice them. We just grow up with certain biases that are just there. And I think it's so important to challenge the way you think of others, and to realize and it can be hard, but it's important to realize when you have a bias that colors the way you treat someone, think about someone, and to not put them in a box based on the way you think of them, because no one thinks of themselves the same way as other people think of them. So yeah, I really like that theme. Choose to challenge the way you treat others, the way you think about other people too, because that will impact the way you end up acting in the end.
Words to keep in mind for sure. Are there any female role models that have helped you or helped to motivate you in your work life or as a volunteer?
Along the way, I've met a lot of fantastic nurses, a lot of fantastic people. No one specifically, I'd say that really has been there the entire time through, but just a lot of different nurses, and day to day too. Like it's such a challenging workforce right now, and the work days has a lot of stresses, and just seeing the people around me, work through that is just, they're all role models. That's the way I see it. But for volunteering, I would definitely say Patricia Scholde, our superintendent in Abbotsford. She's a huge role model. She's an amazing person, a very strong person, and she's just a fantastic person. And always looked up to her and what she's achieved and how hard she works for our brigade in Abbotsford as well. And she's always pushing for equality, for taking care of everyone. So she's definitely a big one for me.
Oh, that's great to hear. Thank you so much for taking the time, and from all of us, thank you for your contributions to our volunteer force and for the work you do as a nurse to keep our community safe.
No problem. Happy to do it. I'll keep pushing on.